Hey YouTube.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new to our channel, we are a family of 4. We have 2 small children and we moved from Illinois. We sold our house so that we could basically start our journey to an off-grid lifestyle. In this video, you'll basically, we'll talk about...
So basically what we're going to discuss is the differences between living in a house and living in an RV. Since it's been 7 months, we want to go ahead and we feel like now that we're able with this experience, 7 months of experience, to be able to give our opinion. We had enough time to sit, soak, marinate, and basically we'll give you our pros, our cons,
regrets,
our likes and dislikes, our regrets, and some tips for any families that want to do what we did. So stay tuned, YouTube. All right. So basically, just real quick, I know we've talked about it before in another video with a little bit more detail on how we got this far, but just a little quick recap. We had a home in Joliet, Illinois, a little bit south of Chicago. Life presented itself as an opportunity for us to sell it, and that's what we did. We've been researching RVs, the RV life, and things like that, even before we got married. Yeah. We've been married so far 4 years, going on 5.
We initially wanted a tiny house. Then it was the stealth.
Oh, for the kids, it was a stealth van. We looked at ambulance. We looked at box trucks. We looked at all of that, and as kids kept coming, it just started changing. It went from ambulance, oh no, that's too small. Box truck conversion, I don't know if I feel like going through all of that. That might be too small. And then
Class C, is it Class?
Then the battle was between Class C, Class A, and travel trailers. And of course, everybody know we all went through the same thing. We start following channels like Matt's RVs Reviews. We start following his name is my name is Tail, but we start watching people like Winter is Blue, Nomadic Introvert. We just start watching a bunch of other channels of everybody kind of living the lifestyle and doing the thing, and basically that's how we kept the fire going. So again, certain things happened, opportunity presented itself at the time, and we went ahead and took that opportunity to go ahead and sell, and we sold. And then from that point, everything went not as expected. Not as expected. So just real quick, from that point, we had an idea of the RVs that we wanted. We ended up getting a great RV inspector. It cost though. I think the joint was like what? How much per inspection? What was that?
Was it $2,000 inspection?
No, it wasn't that. It was like I think $1,300 or $1,400 per inspection.
Right, and he was pretty good. We'll link him, right?
Yeah, he's really good. He's in Texas right now though. So if anybody in Texas, I'll go ahead. What I'll do is I'll slap up his Instagram here, and this is where you can see all of his videos and everything that he's doing and where he's at and the type of inspections that he does. He has a great tips. Great guy, great business. Check him out if you happen to be in the Texas area. Now,
those inspections add up though, guys.
I'm going to get to that. So, we ended up finding some RVs that we liked. But of course, the other step was we got to get a truck. So, it took a little bit. Quite a few of the trucks that we wanted to get, we liked them. But then as we started studying more, we started to learn more about the math that comes with how much you can actually tow, dry weight, gross vehicle weight, and all of that stuff. And then our ideas started to kind of crumble, right, as the facts or numbers started to kind of come in. It started to change everything, where you started to get discouraging. And because I was leaning on a Ram 1500. Let me tell you something, that Rebel, y'all, I wanted that Rebel. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get this Rebel. This is going to be just enough. This is what we're going to need. The Rebel going to be able to do. And then we found RVs that we liked. And it was like, oh, look at this fifth wheel. Oh, look at this travel trailer. But then as you started to look at the gross vehicle weight and all of that stuff, it kind of started to have you like slumping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the only thing that kept popping in my head was what Matt's RV and Matt's RV says is know before you told type stuff. So I started doing the math and starting to realize like for the kind of RV we want, we gotta get a bigger truck.
Basically, can I say, just for people who are not familiar, all RVers are not the same, and you can't just say, oh, I want an RV. You have to have a vehicle that can safely tow the RV that you desire. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense.
And we knew that, but it's not until you're ready to purchase that that means a lot when you're actually about to try to make the move.
Listen. We were in a time crunch. When it was time to sell the house, nothing was going to schedule. We ended up getting put back weeks past where we was hoping or wanted to try to sell. And mind you, we were beating winter, right? We were going into the fall and we were trying to get all of this stuff done so we can leave Illinois before winter, because anybody from Illinois knows with these winters, I don't like driving in a regular car. You don't want to pull something in it. So I'm trying to get out of there, right? So time crunching. So anyway, we end up selling the house, of course, and then we end up having to stay in hotels because we end up finding a truck. Luckily, finding a 2500 tradesman, and so far it's been a pretty good truck. It was more than strong enough for what we needed, but that was the best for me. I prefer to have more than enough and not enough power.
This man is amazing. Like, the way he picked the truck out and how everything played out, there's no way I would have been able to do that on my own. Like, how did you even...
Listen, y'all, I had a list of all the different trucks that I was looking. First, I had a list of Ram 2500s, you know, Rebels. You know what I'm saying? I had a list of the ones, because you know how it is, y'all get the duals and everything else, and riding style, leather with the moon roof and all that cool stuff. After a while, I was like, okay, that's my emotions. I need to start thinking logically and make sense with what it is that I'm trying to do. So, of course, I had a list. I had a list of Ram 1500s, and then I had a list of 2500s. And not just Ram. I had all the brands, Ford, GMC, you name it, 2500s and 3500s. But then came looking at the prices, even for used. I'm like, man, these things is like the cost of a Mercedes Benz or more. Like, they get expensive. So you're paying for all of that power. And that's another thing people don't consider, right? Because we're commonly used to seeing F-150s and Ram 1500s. So you're thinking that that's what your price range is going to be. And then another thing is the brochures of the vehicles will throw you off if you're not smart. For example, you will look at something that's the Hemi of a Ram 1500. It'll say it can tow 12,000 pounds. Not really, right? It's stuff to really consider. So it's like, look at them numbers. Is almost, listen, ignore the brochure, learn to do the math. I'll tell you that right now. And always buy more than enough.
And
Truth
we
be
struggled
told,
trying to figure out the math, remember?
Man, listen.
It's not a lot of information about that.
Truth be told, if you are not a couple in a little 15 to 20 footer, 2,500 and up.
Okay.
Just 2,500 and up.
So you're not worried about it.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? Quarter ton to a ton truck. That's it. So you ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to think.
Calculate every time you put stuff in the RV.
You don't have to do that. Oh, how much do we weigh? With all of that other kind of stuff. You don't have to do none of that. So anyway, moving forward. So we had our eye on some fifth wheels. And at the time, we had
really
the money
wanted a fifth wheel.
for the fifth wheels. But the first RV dealer that we went to that we wanted to actually start making a deal with, they stood us up. And they basically ghosted me. Even after I did a deposit and everything, they ghosted me for like a week and a couple of days. That's a week and some days paying for a hotel.
Yep.
Right? First thing. Right? And then on top of that, I had 2 inspections done at this place. Right? On 2 different units. The first unit, it wasn't prepared, it wasn't ready, even after I told them, hey, I got an inspector coming out. So the inspector was nice enough to go out. He was able to check out what I could check out, but they didn't have it prepped or ready for me. So,
and mind you guys, they agreed to have the inspector come. So it's very disrespectful for them to not have the RV ready when the inspector arrives.
Yeah.
Because you can always schedule the date for a different date.
What's
You
his
know,
name?
that was Pete's RV.
Pete's RV,
in
Indiana.
We really liked Pete's RV.
We did.
And then it was so weird. Around the time that we were ready to pull the trigger, their what is it? Turnaround.
Yeah.
they were losing good employees left and right, and it seemed like who we were dealing with just didn't give a damn. I'm just be honest.
So, and the thing about it was, Pete's, I was also going to purchase the RV, and they were also going to install the fifth wheel hitch onto the truck, all of that. So anyway, so after they ghosted us forever, and I'm just like, I was still willing to make the deal, but come to find out, according to the inspector, they took the parts off of a brand new 2025 fifth wheel to put them on another unit to get that unit ready for a different customer.
And ours was a 2025 too.
That's what I'm saying. So we had to sit and wait now for them to put all these parts and stuff back on the. At this point, it's used, right? The moment you start taking parts and stuff like that off, it's used. I'm not going to pay 2025 prices for something that you literally just got done working on, servicing. So I was like, no. So we decided to start looking at something else, right? So then we looked at something else because that first week really hit us financially as far as staying in hotels and all of that crap. So mind you, our budget,
2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just saying the first week, our budget and room for what we can get is dwindling as days is going by, staying in the hotels. So then we gave Pete's another try.
Because we're also paying a storage unit at this moment in time too.
We're paying monthly for a storage unit. So we finally get him a try. And then after finally giving them another try, this time, again, they did not have the next unit ready. And we were looking at a travel trailer at this point. And this one was a nice travel trailer. The kids had their own little bunk room back there. Like the truck can pull it good. She ain't like it. I loved it. And I felt like it was going to be good for us. Right? I'm like, no more emotional thinking. I'm thinking multiple things. And after we made the choice we made, I bet she wished we would have got that one.
Which one?
But the one that I did look at, Pete's.
I like this one.
Y'all gonna find out pros and cons time. Anyway, so another week went by. So it ended up really just pulling down our funds, and I didn't want to get us in a position where we start to be outside of our budget, and then the money and things that I had set aside for traveling and for just in case will begin to dwindle as well, and we'll be in a bad situation. So we ended up having to making a choice. We've been to for all of that time, we've been visiting a bunch of RV dealers, even
and
before the
RV
house sold
shows.
and everything. And the only one that seemed to always keep their RVs clean, tip-top shape, they rotate them and paid attention, was a place called Rick's RV on Jefferson Street in Joliet, Illinois. The service was always good. The service was always top-notch. At this point, I didn't want to pay for another inspection. And time was crunching down, so I'm like, I got to find us something. So then we went to Rick's RVs. And we're walking around checking things out on a lot, and we came across the 30-foot Jayco travel trailer that we have now. And here's where I'm going to go ahead and post the little B-roll I took of all the specs, the size, and the model number of what we have, and the floor plan of what it looks like. And I actually liked it. It was under the budget, to be quite honest, because at this point I was just so afraid of running into BS that at this point I just wanted to spend less, right?
I felt like it was over the budget.
It was actually under.
Because that budget was like for the fifth wheel.
Right, but I'm saying with the travel trailer still, it was for, because at first we weren't going to do brand new, we was going to do used, but I just started not to trust anything at that point. So first I went and I saw them. And the ones that I saw, I actually liked this one that we're in out of all of the ones I saw, based on me thinking I know what we was getting based on, climate and all of this other kind of stuff. And we're going to get to what you think you know compared to what you actually learn once you're actually in this. So I ended up going back to the hotel, picking up the wife and kids, and then coming back and basically looking at different units. And then ultimately, we decided on the one that we have here that we're going to show a few clips of what we have. And they were ready in a couple of days? I think it was ready.
Yeah,
maybe
it was
3
ready
days.
in a couple of days.
It was ready in like 3 days.
So, really quick, just to share kind of what we were looking for. He will explain what we ended up getting. We'll get to that in the video. But what we were looking for in the beginning was it didn't have to be a fifth wheel. We were more so concerned about having enough space for us to have a room with a door, enough space for him to be able to work from home comfortably, and also, if possible, we wanted something with an actual room for the children. Okay, so real quick, like when we were in the research process or the searching for our RV phase, like some of the things that were deal breakers on our list were um no rooms. Like a lot of RVs, they have like almost like a section where it's two sides or two entrances into the door. Some of them have curtains for doors. And some of them don't even have a separation at all as far as doors go for the rooms. So one of our deal breakers was it absolutely had to have a door for the room for the the master. So there was some separation and some privacy, and we also obviously wanted as much storage as we can get. I mean, that's on everybody's list, is to get as much storage as they possibly can. And you guys will see what we ended up getting, and find out if we actually got what was on our list.
Now it's time to get into the pros of the RV. Who going first? I'm gonna go first. First pro is I do like the layout, right? I will say that I like the fact that right there in the middle we got that nice open space. I was picturing for the kids to be able to roll around and kind of play. I kind of like that. Another thing I do like is that the couch is across from the TV, right? It's too many of them that I saw where you sitting at the couch and you gotta look over at the TV one of the other ways, right? I like the fact that it's right there. That's a pro. Another pro is it's 30 feet. It's not huge. That's a pro. Another pro, I know I'm just quick with it. The warranty. So on our Jayco is a 2-year, 3-year warranty. 2-year structural, I believe, and then 3-year on forget what else. But point is, most RVs in the industry only got a 1-year warranty. Jayco has more than that. That's what I like. Made me feel good, made me feel safe in case things go wrong. Another pro is, as many videos as I've seen where people talked about so many things that go bad and go wrong and falling apart, I will say that this Jayco has been holding up pretty good in my opinion, especially when you got a kid who stumps in her sleep. She just stumps all over the place singing. Y'all saw on one of the reels her singing at the top of her lungs.
She always sings her heart out.
And then I would say another pro with this RV is that is pre-wired for solar. That is also a pro. But that's if you're the kind of person that want to put solar on your roof. I'll start researching and figure that I'm gonna go about it a different way. But it's nice that that's there, because I could just slap an inverter in there because it already got the wiring, and it'd be just enough just to run a few small things. The point is, the possibility is there. I ain't got to be running no wires. Those are, in my opinion, the pros to this particular RV. You ready for your pros?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep an eye on these kids. So, I want to do cons.
Oh, so she's gonna do her cons, and then maybe we should start with cons, and then my cons. So, some of my cons are this: I don't like the couch. The couch is extremely uncomfortable. I'm gonna be honest with you. You never know the comfort of a couch until you spend time sitting on it. The first time you sit on it when it's brand new, it all feels good, right? But it ain't really handled your weight. So I don't like the couch. I really don't. I wish that I would like to replace it. I just might. Another con that I would say is this thing did not come with a ladder. All right. So next thing I cannot stand is that it didn't come with a ladder. Look at this. No ladder, right? It's one thing I don't like. So basically, I had to get a telescopic ladder, and the telescopic ladder has these little hooks that's supposed to go in up there, the Lippert hooks. The thing was like $100 for that ladder. I don't understand why they don't come with ladders. I mean, some people like it, some people don't. Personally, I would rather have a ladder. And then my next issue is, you see that right there? That's supposed to be a customized design for rear doorway camera. And originally, I thought it was pre-wired, and it wasn't. So I basically got to figure out a way to run wire to get all the way to the back to put a camera up there. But you know what? I'm not. I'm gonna learn how to back up old school. That's another one of my dislikes regarding this camper. All right, so now we get to one of my big dislikes. I don't like this outdoor kitchen. This thing right here, y'all, I think is a waste of a design and a waste of space. No space up there for really anything, so we just use it for storage. More storage. And of course, absolutely nothing in there. Truth be told, I would like to rip out those cabinets. I'll snatch all that out. Keep the refrigerator where it's at. Rip out them cabinets, and to be quite honest, I'll put a generator in that joint. Better use. My next con is I don't know why RVs don't just turn the bed the other way in the bedrooms. You'll get much more space. But I guess because they got that little flip up thing and you can put more storage in there, I get it. But they should really rotate the beds. That's just my opinion. And then another con is the bunk beds. To be quite honest, we were excited about the bunk beds, but at the same time, now that you're living here, the top bunk ends up becoming storage. And then on top of the top bunk becoming storage, it's not really accessible for children or adults. I don't like the design. It's not really set up. And then I don't like that the bathroom door is right there too, that the way it's set up. And I feel like it influenced how the bathroom is. I really don't have too much of an issue with the bathroom except for the mirror, where the mirror is placed. I think that sucks, but I kind of make it work. Other than that, to be honest, I pretty much like everything else about the RV. I would say that those will most likely be my only cons for the RV. So now, my wife is going to give you her cons. Con number 1.
What's con number 1? Oh, I forgot. Maybe. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so my cons are not just RV specific. So I'm gonna start with the RV life cons I have. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So my first con for RV life is and it's because of the way we live. It's just, you know, like and it's like basically we are on a journey to having a homestead and living off grid.
Right.
And because of that, we are not we're not traveling a lot like a lot of we're not traveling a lot like you see a lot of full-time RVers. We are stationary, and we live at an RV park. And if we were living at RV resorts, or we were living or moving around, we would probably be going more to campgrounds and things where they have a lot more amenities. But with us living at an RV park, there's really not a lot of amenities. And there's not a lot of outdoor life. Now, we can go travel and still do things like that. But I think when we were in the process of, you know how you have this imagination of what this life will be like? We imagine more being outdoors with the RV.
Yeah, we pictured more. The reason why we went 30 foot, because we mentioned before in the video, but we really wanted to be able to go to parks and different things of that nature. So of course that means that we had intent of getting a generator and all of this kind of stuff to kind of like do that. But I don't mind that, but reality sets in when you start to experience things.
Right, yeah. It really does. I mean, we had all these imaginations of how things were going to be. And it's just not the reality of what we experience. I still love it, but that's one of my major cons is we're in New Mexico. We're not out in nature like I thought. So I'm not cooking outside like I expected. I can't burn a fire. And that's kind of, I don't even want to say that's specific to New Mexico because they have fire bans. Even when we were in Illinois, there was RV parks that you could not burn a fire in an RV park. Obviously that's not the same at campgrounds, and I don't know what resort rules are, but you can't have no fire. And that was what I pictured. You know what I'm saying? Right. At the end of the night, winding down. We used to do that at our house in our backyard. We used to sit in front of the fire with the kids, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but it's something about sitting in front of a fire. My other con is in the future. In the beginning, like I said, I had this imagination what things were going to be like, and I really was so excited about having that nomadic life or we're moving around a lot. And y'all, I just can't hang. Like, just 3 weeks in with the hotel, how we just started off, it just felt like instability to me. It was not fun. It felt stressful, and I think and I'm not saying he wasn't stressed, but I think for me, because like I have these small kids, I know they need structure, routine, things like that. I felt like I was a bad mom almost because they didn't have that home base.
Yeah, and then on top of that too, what people don't consider is you don't consider the cost. Constantly moving around and doing all that, I'm sure
it depletes the funds.
Costs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, y'all. My whole intent was to get land and get a homestead. Right. I mean, I really wasn't hung up on, putting a map of the United States on the door and hitting every state. I wasn't trying to do that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
My whole goal was to get an RV, to be able to be mobile, stay at places for me months at a time, 2 months or 3 months. I really didn't want to be moving every day, every week. But the purpose was to find property.
And we got our property, so we're good. So even though it's a con, it's not a big deal because I felt that instability in the beginning more so than I do now. Being at an RV park, even though we don't have, like I said, all the amenities and that outdoor life, and even though that's a con, the instability, we don't really have instability anymore now.
No.
We pretty much good, we're in one place. We've only moved twice since we've been to New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so even though that's my con, I want to bring it up for people that have small kids, just for it's something to consider because I listened and I researched and I've heard both sides of it. I've heard parents who prefer to be able to travel everywhere with their kids, and then I've had people who really experience the same thing I'm experiencing, is that instability or that lack of structure.
Right.
And so this isn't a knock at people who move around at all. Mm. It's just my experience, and like I said, I just couldn't hang. Like, just 3 weeks of it, I was struggling. Right, so once we got to New Mexico, it just felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Mm-hmm. The kids have children that they can play with, and we have we got people and familiar places that we go to. Everything isn't new every week or every day, if that makes sense. So that's my second con. I know I'm taking a long time. I'm sorry, y'all. And this is my third con. Looking at my list. Life, what is it? Privacy at RV parks. So it doesn't bother him. Right? It don't bother you.
Well, I mean, because I knew that. Like, I mean, in all the videos we watched, they talked about how thin the walls was and that there would be a strain of reduction in privacy. So I expected it. So I wasn't really caught off guard with that.
And I agree with him. I'm not caught off guard. I'm just putting it up there because it is the reality.
Something to adjust to.
It's something to adjust to. And then now I'm going to get to my RV specific cons. And it's mostly relating to storage, right? I think storage. There's a lack of counter space. We have no counter space. Like, we have no counter space. And then, like, even when we show the clip of what the RV looked like before we move into it, even that counter space doesn't really matter because you have stuff sitting on the counters, like our dishes, like when you're drying dishes, so that needs to be free. You can't really have too much stuff up there. Appliances like our Instapot. We had an air fryer. We still have it in our storage, stowed away somewhere in our storage. In the truck. We don't ever use it. It's nowhere to put it. Right. There's nowhere to put that air fryer, and we just not about to give it away. We like our air fryer. We used to be able to. What I paid for. We used to be able to dehydrate our herbs and all those things. So it's like we can't do that. And then we drink tea all the time, all day long. He drinks his tea, and I'm all day long drinking coffee. So it only makes sense to use that other corner for our tea and coffee station, which is, so other than that, there's nowhere to cook. I mean, to prep food. So you end up using the stovetop, the glass stovetop, or the table. And the table is pretty much utilized all day because he works from home.
That's where I work.
He works from home, and then obviously, you know, snack time, meal time, the kids are sitting at the table. So it's just, you know, it's just figuring that out. So let me tell y'all what I did. Okay. He bought you don't know what I'm about to say.
I don't.
He bought fresh farm eggs, right?
Yeah.
And how many times I ruined those eggs? You guys, it's hard to adjust to it. Like, so we put our fruit, the eggs, and different things on the stove when we're not using the stove. But there's been a couple times where I like turned the oven on to preheat it and didn't move the stuff first and ruined.
Y'all, she'd have made, I don't even say hard boiled eggs. She cooked the eggs in the egg carton on top of the stove.
Yeah.
Let's just say when it came time to make scrambled eggs and you
crack
the shell, it was like,
what the heck?
who hard boiling eggs and putting them back in the damn thing?
The shell.
So
yeah, so that's just one example of the day-to-day, you know, little things that I have to adjust to. I hate our bathroom. It's just so awkward. The placement of the toilet, the placement of the sink, it looks nice, but when you're actually using it, it's just so awkward where they put the mirror. So like, imagine me trying to do my hair. There's nowhere for your elbows or anything to go because of where the mirror is. So I end up, you know, basically doing my hair in the refrigerator reflection. Because even in our room we have mirrors in our master, but it's still right up against the wall.
Yeah,
so that's one of my cons. Oh, the toilet. Now this is not our RV specific. This is all RVs across the board. I cannot stand the way we have to flush the toilet. I like it, but I don't like it because you gotta hold the pedal and you be holding it forever just because you have to let the water fill up before you can flush. And it just seems like it just takes so long.
Right, but that's important though too, because if you happen to be using Scott's paper tissue, it's the best one to use because it breaks down in there. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure you put a decent amount of water into your black tank, because one thing I learned too is there's no such thing as too much water when flushing. The more the better, because the easier it is, and when you go to empty that tank to get that crap out of there. But back to your comments.
And my other one is I hate our bunk bed. I mean, I don't dislike the bottom bunk. It's not a big deal. The top bunk is, I don't know who designed it. It doesn't look like a big deal until you live in it, you know? And that's the thing with RVs. It's a lot of little stuff you wouldn't think of because you didn't live in it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't come up until you've used it and you're like, this is so stupid. But yeah, there's no way for the kids to get up on the top bunk. There's a little handle. There's no steps. There's no ladder. And trust me, I researched many different ways to put a ladder in there, and I'm at a loss. I don't know what to put in there. So we do not utilize that top bunk for the children. They are using the bottom bunk, and Ruben sleeps somewhere else. So eventually, if we don't trade this in, we're going to have to figure out that top bunk, you know.
We'll probably end up getting a house or, you know, building our property up front.
Right.
Before he gets too big. But
yeah, because he's still one, so it's not a big deal. But the top bunk ends up getting used for storage, and I usually put the homeschooling stuff up there. And yeah, storage is probably my last con, which that's going to be probably any RV. People are going to have issues with storage.
That ain't your last con.
Nope.
Nope.
What's my last one?
You're going to walk me right over here so you can go ahead and tell them about how you can't stand this outdoor kitchen.
It don't bother me as much as you, but it's just useless. So I have my seasonings in here, which he probably hates that I have all these seasonings. Is that?
I'm simple.
Stop.
Salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder, and cayenne pepper, and that's all I would have. These 377 different seasonings. I don't get why people have so many of them, but that's just me.
So sorry guys, got little kids. So basically, this kitchen, like we said, is useless. It just turned into being backup storage for kitchen stuff. That leads me to my other con, cooking in an RV. This is not specific to our RV. It's an adjustment learning how to cook in an RV. there's been multiple times in the beginning of us getting in the RV that I tried different recipes that I know how to cook multiple times in our house, and they just did not turn out right in the RV. And that's because cooking on a propane stove, the heat is higher and it's a little bit harder to adjust. It's a little bit, sorry guys, we got children, small children. It's a little bit, hold on honey. It's a little bit harder to adjust. What am I trying to say? I've lost my train of thought. Oh, you can't really adjust the heat like you want to. Like, you can't put stuff on low. If you have it all the way low, it's still almost like a high heat. So stuff can burn faster. And then not only that, you have to be more mindful when you are using propane. Like, let's say, even if you got all the money in the world, it's like you just don't want to be having to get propane all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so you just be like, I'm not even gonna worry about cooking on this stove. So that leads me to my Instapot. I have pretty much learned how to cook so many different things in our Instapot, which we used to use the Instapot all the time, but really for like certain things. But now, you guys, pretty much everything I cook, I use the Instapot.
We typically mostly used it for beans.
Right.
I like beans.
Yeah, lentils.
Right. Lentils and things like that will typically on the stove take a lot longer to cook. But now the Instapot is really being used as an Instapot.
Right. So yeah, so I use my Instapot for everything, which in the future, I'm probably going to start doing some videos on that. How I cook stuff in my Instapot. And so basically we had all these pots and things like this that I bought in the beginning that I don't use because there's no point. So that's what all this stuff is. Like, this is what is it called? A food saver.
That's a food saver.
So I used to basically meal prep my food and then put it in the meal saver bags and freeze it. There's no space to do any of that. So this is like, I'm not.
Juices in there. Right,
because, and that's the thing. Like, there's just no space, not even in the freezer. So basically, I'm saving these things. I don't really need them, but we don't get use out of it.
They'll come in handy once we get the house and a nice, solar system. So it'll be fine. It's better to keep them than to rebuy them.
Yeah, so it's just basically, this is just being used as storage for stuff that I can't fit in the house, in the RV, and for stuff we can't even utilize anymore. Okay guys, I'm gonna give y'all my pros, but I'm struggling because these kids are getting antsy now, so I'm gonna go through them really fast. One of my other pro is just the thought of, or the fact that we don't have so much stuff. It took us months to clear out our house. It took us even took some time after getting the house listed and sold to be ready to actually move out and give them a clear house. Took more time. Then we had two storage units later. And it just really was an eye-opener how much stuff we had that we just didn't need. So also learning to be more resourceful, because we're in an RV. I have to look outside of our, the confines of our home to be more resourceful in the sense of, as a homeschooler, it's so many things out there that we could buy for the kids, but we don't do that now. We don't have the space for it. So I've had to learn to be more creative and make stuff for them. Stuff that doesn't take up space. Like, they don't have a whole bunch of toys. They have toys, but they don't have a room full of stuff, if that makes sense. So that has been, it's been interesting. Caused me to be more resourceful, and we found a place called the Toy Lending Library here in New Mexico. And just think about it, like the fact that they have libraries for books, so you could take the books home, do what you want to do with them, and then you take them back. It's the same here with toys. I can go get them toys, let them play with those toys for weeks, and actually we get them for 3 weeks, and then I take them back. Well, I'm more careful with the things that we buy, because everything is like, oh, do I have room for it? I don't have a whole bunch of cleaning is actually better. It's hard to keep it clean in the sense of junk, because clutter does accumulate a little bit faster because you're in a smaller space. But let's say I want to deep clean this trailer. What you think? It'll take maybe an hour? If the kids are not in the trailer, it might take an hour, maybe an hour and a half to deep clean the whole trailer. Whereas a house, you got to break that up in days to try to I'm talking about not just cleaning, like deep clean a whole house.
Right.
There's no way you're gonna get that done in an hour and a half. So that's a plus.
Come on, bud.
Okay, guys, sorry we're rushing. It's about to rain. It's actually raining.
About to rain. It's just a little bit windy, and the kids is restless.
Yeah, they off the chain right now.
Ruben trying to talk on, and they beating up the camera.
So my last pro is just with our marriage. Really, so he works from home. He's been working from home the majority of our marriage.
Probably like 2.5 years now.
So we're always
3.
So we're always together, all the time, but there still was some separation because he had his own office.
I had an office at the time.
He's really good at gardening. He used to go step away to the garden, and of course he leaves a lot, out the house whenever he needs to. So we are actually together more now than we were before, and I can't remember, it was a quote or a saying. They said if you want to test your marriage or something, live in an RV together or something like that.
Listen, when you always around each other in the same room, I feel like it wasn't as complicated as people said. I mean, I think the only time I really get frustrated is if I happen to be on a meeting or something, and it's more so the kids jumping, bouncing, and hollering. It's not really heard.
Yeah.
So I really didn't find it more difficult to be living in an RV, you know what I'm saying, with my spouse. That's just my feeling.
Yeah, it just showed me, I still feel the same way. Like, whenever he leaves, I miss him, don't want him to leave. Like, I don't feel like how some people feel where, they can't wait for their spouse to leave. I still don't feel that way, even after 7 months of being in this RV with him. Do we have issues and things that we, end up working out? Yes, because that's just part of life, dealing with different people and personalities, and we're still learning and growing. But overall, to me, it showed me like we still good, like.
Yeah, if you're the type that like to walk into another room and do all this other type of stuff and be mad for 10 days, don't do RV life.
Yeah,
because
they do make the times where we do have issues, it do make it a little more tense because you can't remove yourself.
You have to address it.
Yeah.
And that's another perk is the RV life could be therapeutical for people who had trouble addressing problems. You gotta address it.
Because it's just you, and I depend on him for everything. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm thinking also, I'd be thinking in my head like, we're gonna be in the middle of nowhere by ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not necessarily alone, because our neighbor will be Leatherman 47 from Little Southwest Homestead.
Yeah, that's true.
But starting off in the beginning, we will be pretty much just us on the land. Of course, we got neighbors that are within distance. You can see them, but they don't really know what's happening. They're pretty good neighbors so far.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be good.
Yeah. So I think the next portion.
You just gotta not be afraid to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
Talk to her, y'all.
I think I'll get better.
You gonna have to.
Okay, guys. So it started raining and got windy, and we have to do a quick store run. So we're gonna just finish this video off with just our regrets and also
advice.
Oh, some advice. For people who are looking to get into this journey. You want to do your regrets?
Honestly, I don't think I have too many regrets at all, actually. Because when we first started this lifestyle, we met a lot of wonderful people who were full-time RV living. And they gave us a lot of tips. And one of the best tips they told us was don't spend too much or go crazy on your first RV. Because 9 times out of 10, this is when you're going to start to learn your likes and dislikes and what you should have did different. And you're going to end up buying another. And these were people who've been RV living for like 8, 9 years. And they said they on their 3rd RV. Not because it broke down or something went wrong. Because it took them a minute to find what really worked for them. Yeah. And they sat there and said, after you buy brand new the first time, you won't buy brand new the second time. The reason being is, during your time living full time, you're going to become really good at repairs and doing things of that nature. And after a while, you'll realize because RVs depreciate in value, you're better off buying a used RV and customizing it to your family than to buying a brand new RV. And because you don't want to, you know, jack up the, you know, warranty and all of that stuff, you're going to end up settling. So I don't really have any regrets on my end. I'm pretty glad how everything turned out because everything was a straight up learning experience. And Jael said these people got a stove in their truck. How dare they?
My regrets, I feel like, hold on, honey. I feel like my regrets go into the advice, which my regrets is something we really couldn't control for our situation, which was rushing. Other than that, I don't have any regrets. I love the RV overall, love the lifestyle overall. So I think that would be my only regret. Oh, I do have a regret. So in the beginning of getting an RV, you know, you want to purchase a lot of stuff to make it homey and things like that. I personally would wait to buy organization stuff because I feel like we've tried so many different ways of maneuvering stuff and moving stuff to different spots that now 7 months in, I feel like I kind of know the best way to put stuff in there, and it took me a minute. So now I feel like we'd be at a better spot buying our organization products and things like that. We got some stuff and some stuff just was like a miss. And so that'll probably lead into another video. We'll probably do a more in-depth tour once we get you know, get that stuff situated. Get some stuff cleaned up, get some stuff a little bit better organized since now we know what we need. And then we're gonna end up going ahead and just doing a full-fledged RV tour. Yeah. But yeah, that's my regret. So now, really quick before we go, advice. So anybody that's looking to get into this lifestyle, you know, you're married or a couple with children, first and foremost, do not assume that bigger is always better. And when it comes to RV lifestyle, bigger is more expensive. The bigger the RV, the bigger the truck you have to find and pay for. Understand that when you start getting into these 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks, brand new, these things are costing more than a luxury car. And even used, they're holding their value and they're expensive, right? We didn't want to find ourselves having notes. I didn't want a note on the RV and I didn't want a note on the truck. So the money, the proceeds, the money we got from selling the house, we paid off debts. And we did everything as we could debt free. So right now we have 0 notes on anything. And I kind of want to keep it that way if I could. I take it back. The only thing we're making payments on is the property, but that is an owner financing, and I'm doubling and tripling up on that because, I mean, think about it, 70 something bucks a month. Like, that's the minimum is just for a safety net, but we're gonna have that thing paid off in no time. The other thing is that understand that your first RV is not your forever home, as they say, or it's really doing full-time living. It really is for trial and error. By month 6 and 7, you're gonna have this thought process and desire that okay, this such and such floor plan would have worked for me, or it will work better. Because our next RV is not gonna be brand new. I'm gonna do used. One of the things I'm actually considering right now is our RV is a 2025 and it's still worth quite a bit because it's of this year. And I'm already tempted to want to go do a trade, you know what I'm saying, on a used RV. I'm already tempted to do so. Something that better fits our plan, our floor plan and what we're looking for. Because I know what my truck can tow. I got something that towed more than enough for that reason. You know, it might leave me room to go ahead and get a 5th wheel hitch installed so I could go get, because here's the deal. I feel like if we would have waited and moved out here first, bought our truck and just drove our behinds out here and then shopped for the RV, we would have saved a ton of money. Due to the fact that the Midwest and Chicago area, everything is so expensive, it's retarded. You get out here because RV is so big out here in New Mexico, they already got RVs used that's in great shape, that's been rehabbed, that already has the solar, that already has mini splits installed. Like, everything that you want to do already done. Only thing left to do maybe is what? Paint it and put your personal touches. Kind of like, and basically like what you see Journey to Homestead is doing. Journey to Homestead right now, they're in the middle of rehabbing an RV, and so is some of our other Homestead homies.
Rehab
Overflow?
Camp Overflow. They took older RVs and they just doing the elbow grease and reworking them, because I'm going to be straight. Older RVs are built better. I'm going to be honest. Older RVs are built better. So you learn the skill, your best bet is just get an older one for way less than the cost and just make it happen. So that's my lessons learned.
I got some.
She's got some lessons learned.
Like he said, you still in a mindset of being in one place when you're going through this process. And like he said, we really didn't have to rush like that, because we could have just came to New Mexico or anywhere and bought the RV there. We were just in that other mindset. Mm-hmm. So I completely agree with that. That's my advice. My other advice is, or tip is, if you are going from a house to this RV lifestyle, I would say, if possible, be a little bit calculated when you list your house. If you can list your house early in the year so you don't have to worry about the seasons, that would be beneficial. My other tip is for women. I feel like, here, can you turn it off real quick? I'm gonna put them on the breast and finish. Okay, so basically what I was gonna say is that I feel like when we were in this process, I put a little bit of strain on my husband, because I understood, you know, how crucial the downsize would be, but I think most of our marriage, I pretty much, you know, would trust all his decisions. But during this time, I was trying to push what I wanted more than I should have. Do you feel like that?
Oh, big time.
Yeah, and I regret that. Because I think I wanted what I wanted so much so that it almost was like making me not trust his decisions, if that makes sense. And I'm so glad that he's the way he is and he did what he needed to do for our family, because we didn't touch on it a lot in the video, but we were cautioned so much to not buy. Stop, babe. We were cautioned so much to not buy new, not buy Jayco. And ultimately, even with all that counsel we got, he made the decision he made, and I feel like we're in a better position because of it. We haven't had major issues with our RV. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the issues we had, y'all saw them. They were easily fixable. And some of the issues were user error, right? Wasn't manufacturer user error. The screens, I was able to repair those. Like, the stuff is really, it really wasn't big deal. Like, our cabinet doors aren't falling off yet. You know, there's no soft spots in our floors. The thing is built wonderful. Even during the shakedown period, there was no sawdust all over the place like some people would say. I think that the RV we have is pretty decent.
Yeah, I agree.
And all the scare videos that people say this went wrong, that went wrong, I'm not saying it don't happen.
Right.
I'm just saying, particularly with our RV, we just haven't had that issue. And a lot of that, I'm gonna be honest with you, yes, it comes from the manufacturer, not so great. But if you can find a good dealer who understands that concept, and then they go behind the manufacturer to tighten stuff up, which is kind of what Rick's RV was like. Yep. Go for it. Like, I'm not even joking. Every RV park we visited, we went to dealer. We went to one that had cobwebs in it. Stuff was falling off. Mice droppings. Things was hanging off the ceiling. Oh, don't worry, that'll be fixed.
Floors.
Yeah, and they talking about some. Don't worry, it'll be fixed.
Things
like, I'm not
falling
trusting
off the
that.
hinges.
Like, I'm not trusting that it'll be fixed. Nope. And that's what made me. I'm like, we too new at this. People are saying a lot of stuff, but we physically still didn't know what to look for or what to do. And I said, my biggest thing that'll make me feel better, since I'm the one spending all this freaking money, was having some sort of warranty. So that's why we went new. But now, will I be able to get something used? I know what to do now, and I know what to look for. So yes.
And we're not in a rush.
And we're not in a rush either. And that's the good thing, is because I got new. It's only 7 months in. I got time to switch it up, and I can go use with something bigger, better, and in better shape. with a simple trade. You know what I mean? So that's what we're looking at. That's something that we're considering also. So like I said, it could be scary because it's new, but I'll be honest, if you're doing it right and calculated, it's worth it. We are saving way more money is staying in our pocket, even though these RV parks are dag near charging for an apartment. It's cheaper than a mortgage some places. So just be smart. If you can, take your time, be calculated. Go see as many as you can, walk through them, touch them. Understand that the seller is there to sell you an RV, not to be your friend. And then also, I will say, if you have the means, do get an RV inspector. Get one. And if somebody don't want you to have one and they weird about it, take your money somewhere else. But get an RV inspector. Well, that's it. We're going into Wally World. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Tell us what y'all think about this video. Tell us what y'all think about this life. Those of you who are already in full-time RV life, hit us up in the comments. Give us some advice. We are looking to possibly trade up. Tell us how that works. You know, is it better to trade up with a dealer, or is it better to see if you can find somebody on Facebook Market who has an RV and wants one smaller, or that's trying to get rid of an RV but don't mind taking another one that's newer, like, right? So give us some advice on how we should go about doing this, because it's definitely something we have been considering. Definitely while my RV still has value now, because remember, they lose value. So with that, that's it, YouTube. Till next time.